Well, here goes nothing. If you are watching this video, you obviously know who I am. My name is Edward Feinstein, and I was involved in the Dawn DaLuise saga with my good friend at the time, Nick Prugo. There have been several interviews that I have turned down. There have been several podcasts that have reached out, and a few that have given Dawn a platform that have not reached out. So the purpose of this video is not to malign or degrade Dawn, but to simply tell my side of the story. The only story that's out there right now that Dawn keeps regurgitating are all lies. I also have a bunch of receipts. I have text messages, emails, video, transcripts from the preliminary hearing. I have everything. Dawn has never provided one shred of evidence for any tale she has ever spun. It's also a little annoying that she has this platform to get up and spew these lies, these defamatory lies, without any sort of fact checking or anything. I've had several networks reach out. I've had Lifetime, I've had VH1, I've had, I believe there was an MTV in there. And when they first talk to me, they think I'm crazy. They think that I'm a stalker, that we were involved in tormenting this woman who had no knowledge of anything. And that's not the case. As soon as I send over all documentation that I have, they're like, oh, wow, we were going into this thinking that she was the victim, but she's not the victim. So here we go. I had met Dawn through my best friend at the time, Nick Prugo. Dawn likes to say that, and when I'm looking to the side, I'm just looking out my window. So I'm not reading anything or anything. Just like a bird flies by and it catches my eye. But so I had met Dawn through Nick, my best friend at the time, and we hit it off. I had known Nick years before he had went to jail for the bling ring, and he had met Dawn from what I've been told by Nick. He had gone to dinner with Nancy Jo Sales, the writer from Vanity Fair that wrote the book and the article that the movie came from. And they had gone to dinner. Nancy somehow was talking to Dawn or talked to Dawn and told Nick, hey, look, I have this source. She's a little kooky. She's going to come meet us for a drink. Do you mind? And he had no issues. So Dawn and him hit it off. Dawn gave him a ride home for whatever reason. And he had started going to her for facials. She kind of sold this idea of trying to get a reality show. He didn't really know what he wanted to do at the time. And to be 23, 24 and the potential for a reality show, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that at that time? So Nick and Dawn were hanging out, and from what I was told by Nick, when you have a friend, or when you have two friends that you're hanging out with, Nick was talking about me to Dawn, and I would assume it was also vice versa. Dawn wanted to meet his friend. So she had invited me to meet her, to come to her clinic for a facial that she gave, that I paid for. And we all kind of hit it off from there. My best analogy about Dawn is she's kind of like a hyped up Kim Zolciak from Real Housewives of Atlanta, first 2 seasons. And, she was out there, she could tell a story, and she was just fun to be around. Dawn claims that we were not friends, that I had inserted myself, or I had just showed up and coming to her clinic with Nick one day. That was not true. we had a genuine budding friendship at the time. We were getting to know each other. We had gone out to dinner a few times. We had gone out to lunch. We had gone to a bowling alley. We had gone to a couple of bars together. We had went to Dawn's house for Thanksgiving, and that's not something that you do with an acquaintance or somebody that is not a friend. In my opinion, the only real victim there is out there, it's not Dawn, it's Gabriel. Everybody has completely negated the fact that she had tried to have this guy killed. Whether she tried, whether she inquired, I have no idea. Obviously she would know. We'll let the evidence speak for itself. So in this budding friendship with Dawn, we were kind of privy to her issues with this person that was moving into the office space next door. She had said his name was Gabriel Suarez. She had said that they had had issues a few years ago, that he was putting her phone number out on Craigslist. He was potentially trying to poach her clients. And, she was just very worried and wanted to get him out of the building. So she had asked me, because I work in the real estate industry, and again, as we have this budding friendship, she had asked how to get him out of the building. And I said, well, Dawn, any landlord isn't going to kick out another tenant that you may or may not have an issue with. There has to be a police report. There has to be something. So why don't you, wait and see what happens. And if he starts doing anything, file a police report, and then the landlord would have to do something. You would be forcing his hand at that point. And she really liked the advice that I had given her. And she said, and I guess this was the downfall of everything, she had asked, well, you know what? I don't really know how to use the computer that well. If you help me out, I won't charge you for facials. So, this was my friend, or this was our friend, who was voicing these issues and concerns she was having. She was saying that she could hear Gabriel on the other side of the wall. They had shared a wall, they had a common wall, listening to her. She had said that he was in her office, that he was attempting to poach her clients, that he was hanging out by her car. She was feeding us all of these incidences she was having with him. So she was like, I won't charge you guys for facials if you help me get him out of the building. So we had asked, or she had volunteered to post her phone number online. Very similar to what had happened before, so it would make sense. And that's what we did. Craigslist ads were posted with her phone number saying that she wanted to hook up. Dawn claims that there was a rape fantasy, that we were trying to have her raped. That was a complete fabrication. There was never any mention of rape, break down my door, anything like that. From what I was told from Dawn, she had gone to the police department a couple of times, tried to file a police report to provide to the landlord, and due to the fact that they were, prank calls or prank texts, or the police did not take it seriously, so they just said, well, if anything different happens, please let us know. So at that point, Dawn had wanted to, and there are texts, text or emails, I'd have to go back and look, corroborating that she wanted to kind of step up the harassment. So collectively, we came up with the idea of flyers, similar to Craigslist ads, where it had her face photoshopped on a woman in a sexual position or sexual scenario. I don't know if that would be the word. So flyers were done. Everything was done with Dawn's knowledge. Dawn was aware of everything that was going on. Dawn didn't care. She just wanted to build up and have enough evidence to get this guy out of the building. She had given me an email list of 50 of her closest contacts, from friends to church members, churchgoers. And there was a flyer photoshopped with Dawn and her two daughters, Dane and Darian. They, according to Dawn, did not have a good relationship. Dawn had a lot of animosity towards her ex-husband, Rick, whom they had been divorced for a couple of years, I would assume. She would always say that Rick had turned her daughters against her. She really held a lot of animosity towards Rick. She would say that her daughters would steal money from her purse. She would say that Rick had wanted her to buy him new dentures, or a set of dentures, for I think $5,000 or $6,000. That if she did that, he would put in a good word for the younger daughter, Darian, to have a better relationship with her mother. And, all of these things just really hurt Dawn. So I don't think that at the time Dawn had any remorse for for involving her daughters in this. And she felt by doing this, it would bring them closer together. She had also said that Darian wasn't really sure what she wanted to do. They were considering sending her to rehab. She had some sort of a substance abuse problem. She refused to go to rehab, so they were going to send her to, or they convinced her to sign up for the Air Force, I believe. So, it was good to get that issue taken care of. So at this point, with the flyers and everything being, according to Dawn, stepped up, she had approached somebody through church, and I'm not sure if it was a friend of a friend or if it was actually Detective Macaulay with the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department himself. But she had found Detective Macaulay to help her take a report, get him out of the building. He was taking this a little bit more serious than the North Hollywood Police Department did, or was at the time. So Dawn had emailed me this script, which we'll attach to this video some way, somehow, of what she wanted me to tell the detective. She wanted me to lie to him. And I said, oh, sure, Dawn, don't worry about it. So she had sent this over. She had said that to print this email and delete it, that the FBI is watching Gabriel, that he had a rap sheet for deviant behavior, that the FBI is all over this case. I mean, all of these at the time kind of outlandish things. So Detective Macaulay had ended up calling me. I believe I was with Nick at the time, and it really caught me off guard. So I had hung up, I told him I would call him back, hung up, kind of gained my bearings, and called him back. He told me why he was calling. I told him, I kind of cut him off from what I remember. And I said, hey, look, and in my head, I'm thinking, if I can just discredit her and say that she had asked me to lie without involving her, or without telling him everything that she had done and we have done and everything up to that point, I thought, well, if I just kind of told him the truth from the email on, that he would just think that she was a little out there and go away. So I had told him that she had asked me to lie, that she had sent me this email. She had asked her other friends to lie as well, Michael Trigg, Mary Carlisle, and I believe Ed Merlin, with a similar experience that they were supposed to share with the detective about seeing Gabriel by her car or in her office building or in her unit or whatever their story was. My story was I was supposed to tell Detective McCauley that I had seen Gabriel in her parking spot one night when I was going to a bar and I was using her parking spot. So he had asked me to send him everything that I had. So I forwarded him the email. I took some screen caps of texts and sent them to him. In these texts, and let me backtrack for 1 second. Dawn likes to say that I had sought this detective out, that I had turned her into the police, and that's not the case. She had the detective call me. I never sought out the police. I never turned her in. I never did anything maliciously. My whole thinking was, I just want this to go away. And if they see that she's not being honest with them, it'll go away. So I had sent I had sent him some screen caps, emails, texts, blah, 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 blah. In these texts was the infamous, I found somebody who's going to take Gabriel out. His name is Chris Guiley. He's 350 pounds, ex-NFL football player, whatever. Also, there was another text, backtracking to that, when she had said that, it really kind of caught me off guard and I didn't know what to say. So I said, LOL, how do you respond to that? So there were also several other texts that I had sent to Detective McCauley that Dawn was trying to find out where Gabriel lived. She contacted the post office trying to find his address. She found his sister online. She wanted to start harassing his sister. I had inquired one time, kind of half joking, about what was going on with the Chris Guiley situation, and she had said that she wasn't going to ask. If she didn't ask, she would not be involved in it, or it could not come back on her, but she was, quote unquote, sure that Chris Guiley knew some low-life drug addicts that owed him some favors in San Bernardino. So Detective McCauley called me back, said he had received everything, had said he was going to meet with Dawn in the next couple of days, and he would let me know to kind of gauge what I wanted to do as far as talking to her, because obviously she's not going to be very happy with her friend turning this stuff into the police. So a couple of days had gone by. I was ignoring Dawn. Dawn had reached out on Facebook and she had said, hey, I haven't talked to you. I'm worried. I love you. Hope everything is okay. And I had told her that I had broken my phone. My phone fell in the toilet or something. I was waiting on a replacement. And she said, oh, okay. So within a day or two of that, I'm pretty sure that McCauley and Dawn had met at Denny's in Santa Clarita. And she had confessed to him that she had made everything up and it wasn't true. And, you know, whatever. Again, now this is Detective McCauley's story to tell. All of these things she kind of confessed that weren't true. And he called me after the meeting and he had said that she had confessed. Probably don't talk to her for a couple of days. Leave it alone. Go from there. So after that, another, maybe a day or two had passed and he had called me and he said that he had arrested Dawn. And I said, what do you mean you've arrested Dawn? And he said, well, I can't tell you why, but she was arrested this morning and, you know, is what it is. So at that point, I believe that's when TMZ and the news started picking it up, and we had found out that she was arrested for solicitation of murder against Gabriel Suarez. Within a few days of that, I was getting ready to go to work, and my front door was kicked down by the sheriff's department SWAT team, guns drawn. I was arrested for cyber stalking Dawn, and my apartment was raided. They took my phone, my cell phone, my home phone, and my computer. I was taken to the West Hollywood Police Department, where I had bailed out of jail, given a court date, went to court, and no charges were filed at that time. What I assume happened is after Dawn was in jail, and this is just kind of my assumption or my theory of the timeline, was Macaulay, being he, had traced the IP address and found out that it came from my apartment in West Hollywood, where I was living at the time. And he had gone to Dawn, said, hey, look, it wasn't Gabriel, it was your friend Edward. Her being in jail, thinking I put her there, which I did not. What do you think she's going to say? She's going to say, I didn't know anything about that. So in my mind, that's why I was arrested within a couple of days of Dawn. So Dawn had gone through the trial process, was in jail for about 11 months. I would also like to point out that she claims to have such a successful business, a successful clientele. I've never seen, I personally never saw anybody famous or high profile there using her services. I never saw a picture with Dawn with anybody of that sort of high profileness come through her clinic. And since then, I've used a different esthetician that has a celebrity clientele that does something similar to Dawn. And her clients are high profile, Real Housewives, models, and they're posting pictures in her clinic all the time. So it really goes to, again, my assumption, I don't think Dawn had this clientele. I don't think she had this successful business. For a successful businesswoman like herself, she was unable to bail out of jail. She was unable to afford a private attorney. She used a public defender, and then she had an attorney take it for the high profileness of it all. But there was never anything there. Dawn claimed when she was in jail that she had lost her townhome. That would mean that she had owned it. She rented an apartment in North Hollywood, and not the nice part of North Hollywood. She had claimed that she had lost her car, her new Lexus. She had a 2003 or a 2004 Lexus in 2012 or 2013. So we're looking at a 9 or 10-year-old vehicle, and not trashing her. But it's just, somebody as successful as what she is claiming to be, things aren't adding up now. So Dawn is found not guilty and gets out of jail. The best that I can equate that to is O.J. Simpson was found not guilty, but we all really know what happened there. And she gets out of jail, turns around, starts a lawsuit with the city and the sheriff's department for wrongful arrest and medical care. And then she also files a restraining order against Nick and myself, claiming that we were stalking her daughter, that her daughter had seen a white Mercedes SUV following her at the time, that we had stolen all of the money from her bank account for pizzas and gas or car washes or something. I can't really remember. Just all of these crazy claims that were found to be not true. No evidence was ever provided. Dawn had made all of this up. I know if I was out jogging, walking, running, crawling if I noticed a strange vehicle following me. We're in an age where everybody has a phone. You take a picture, you call 911, you take a video. Nothing was ever done because it was all not being truthful. So at this point, her lawsuit with the city is ongoing, and my attorney at the time had said, her name was Tamar Armanak. I don't know what's going to happen. They may file, they may not. I found out that when you sue a public entity like that, the sheriff's department, the city, the county, whatever, they don't pay it themselves. They actually have insurance that covers it. So it almost turns a little political. So the district attorney had ended up filing charges against us. Again, from what I was told, they did this to try to pass the blame over any sort of liability that they may or may not have with Dawn onto Nick and myself. If they could get us convicted of a felony or something, whatever, I've heard so many stories, but so the district attorney ended up filing charges against Nick and I, 3 counts of cyber stalking, 1 count of solicitation of rape. We turned ourselves in, we bailed out, and we went through the court process. I think all in all, it was almost about a year. At this point, myself, I would assume that Nick spent about the same. I had spent close to, if not over, a little over $100,000 on legal fees. And, it's just a very exhausting experience to go through. So they end up filing charges against us. We get to the preliminary hearing stages. The 2 counts of cyber stalking for stalking her daughters, which never happened, were immediately dismissed by the DA, David Reinhardt, as they held no truth at all. We went through the preliminary process. It was just Dawn and the detective that testified, Steve McCauley, and his testimony was just very cut and dry as far as, this is where the IP address came from, this is what I found, A, B, and C. So Dawn claims, well, let me finish this and then I'll kind of bounce to the next thing. So Dawn gets up on stage, or not on stage, Dawn gets up on the stand, and like a gift from God, she sinks herself with all of her lies. All of her lies really came out, and come to find out, there was another esthetician that she had evicted from that building. It came out that we had recorded a video. I had recorded a video of Dawn tied up, pretending to escape from, Gabriel had attempted to kidnap her, and she had escaped, and she was laughing about it. The video was played. Emails were shown. She had emailed Nancy Joe Sales had emailed Nick some emails that she had received from a mutual friend that Dawn and Nancy shared. Her name is Valerie Michaels, I believe. And Valerie had sent these emails to Nancy saying that we were stalking all of these people, that her trial had nothing to do about the facts, that it had to do with race, and her Black attorney picked a Black jury, and they used race and the police to get her off. And she was laughing, and it was so funny. And, all of this was really just a joke to her. And from what she's portrayed of, oh, I'm just so innocent and I had no involvement, and I'm this church woman, and don't you feel sorry for me? I'm a victim. That's not true. So going through the process, Dawn also claims that she was getting men at her door, attempting to break in, walk in, open the door, whatever it may be, that it came out via, it'll also be in this some way somehow, that nobody ever got to her door. Nobody was ever there. Nobody ever tried to get in. I know personally if somebody was at my front door trying to get in and I had no idea who they were, I would certainly call 911. I would call the police. Dawn never called 911, never called the police. Why is that? Also, I know if I was getting hundreds of texts a day, if I was getting lewd pictures, and if I had no involvement, I would certainly change my cell phone number. She never changed her cell phone number. She had two phone numbers. She had an office line that she used for work, and she had a cell phone, which is personal. So for her to change her cell phone would have been no issue whatsoever. It would not have affected her business. All of these little things came out. All these big things came out too. And it really just showed her to be a liar. At that point, the solicitation of rape charge was dismissed as there was absolutely no proof, and she had just made that up. In her defense, to get out of her trial, or her attorney to get her off, and the judge told us, hey, look, this is what it is. You don't know if I'm going to bind this over for trial, but if you plead to a misdemeanor stalking charge, we can make this all go away. I can dismiss this. Who knows? So at this point, as I had said earlier, I had spent close to $100,000, if not more. I'm sure Nick was in the same boat. I'm tired. He's tired. A misdemeanor. Cool. Let's just get this done. I can't fight anymore. So we ended up taking the deal. And that's is what it is. So we pled to misdemeanor stalking that was later dismissed and then expunged. So that's why that happened. If I could go back in time, knowing what I know now, I certainly would not have taken a deal. I would have taken it all the way. I'm very confident that we would have been found not guilty, and it might be a different situation right now. She may not have the platform to degrade and insult and malign us. Dawn also says that that Nick had an obsession with her daughters. That absolutely is not true. Nick never wanted to hang out with her daughters. Dawn continually attempted to push them on her, especially Darian. But as I had said before, Darian was going through substance abuse issues and everything. So, that was something that Nick did not want to be around, especially being on parole at the time. Dame, I never met her. I don't know if Nick ever hung out with her or not, but that's a lot of it. I'm sure I'm leaving out some details, but Dawn has, since then, Dawn has had her friends reach out to me on Facebook. She has called me a fat faggot. She has had her friends harass me and call me faggot and all kinds of homophobic slurs. She had, in texts and everything through the preliminary, it came out that she was looking for a white supremacist to take out a double minority Mexican gay. And I think this is so funny that she has apparently such an issue with gays, because that's basically what her clientele is, or her friends are. So, and if you're watching this, I'm very sorry to do this to you, Michael. And I know that you're going through a divorce right now with Diego, but unfortunately, Dawn and I still share a few mutual friends. And I am unknowingly told all the time what is going on. She recently did a podcast where she said that she's semi-retired, that that before COVID, she had shut down her business. I don't think her business was ever shut down. I don't think there ever was a business. She, from what I've been told from our mutual friends, that Dawn is working as an Uber Eats driver or some sort of delivery driver, which doesn't make sense to me, because if she's so successful or had this successful beauty clinic, I don't know. I guess we all have our own struggles. From what I've been told by Michael, she is practicing, or she's still doing facials. She hasn't been licensed in 2 years. If she is still doing facials, that I don't know. She's renting a room somewhere in North Hollywood with like 4 or 5 other roommates. And this really is not the picture that is painted by the life that she allegedly leads. And, if I was a delivery driver, or if I had several roommates, who cares? You don't need to lie. It's not that big of a deal. But just everything this woman has said from start to finish is just not truthful. She claims that because of this situation, that she is alienated from her family, her 2 daughters, her ex-husband. As I had mentioned before, they had their own issues long before we had met or before she was involved in this. She has never taken responsibility for any of her actions at all. She just spins a story and puts the blame on everybody else. So if you're watching this, this is just my version of events. This is what happened. This is my experience. And like I had said, there will be documentation, receipts in this video. And that is something that Dawn has never been able to provide because she is not truthful. And I hope that you will take the time to listen to my story and read what I am providing as far as proof, and make your own educated decision of what happened. And this really is this should be for anybody an eye-opening experience of really be careful of who you involve yourself with. You think you know somebody, you really don't. You don't know anybody at all. And just, when you meet new people, be very guarded. Don't get sucked into making bad decisions over what somebody else says. I know that just sounds very cliche, and it is, but there you go. There's my side. So thank you for listening.